How do, and welcome back to Morrigan's Creations. And if you're new here, I'm Mark, and I like to make things out of stuff you'd normally throw in the bin. So I sat down in the workshop and I had absolutely no idea what I was going to make for this video. But luckily I like to keep a little journal where I write down all my ideas for future videos. So I spent the day thinking, and I eventually settled on 3 different ideas. After a while I still couldn't decide, so I did what any sane person would do. I asked you on Instagram. And you guys decided that you wanted to see another scratch build, so I started digging through the bits boxes, one at a time. Once I found a few that I liked, I put them on the desk and started to put them together in ways that I thought would work well. I very quickly settled on the idea of this red piece becoming a jaw and this yellow piece becoming the eyes. I was thinking about making a little samurai bot, and then as it quickly developed, I started deciding towards making him more of a wizard. So here I am making the top of the hat using the thrusters from the Apollo 11 kit made by Rebel. This hat was actually made entirely out of pieces from that kit. So I'd recommend waiting until Black Friday and picking yourself up one of these kits, as there is a lot of good pieces inside. I took the time to sand both pieces of the hat to make sure that the glue would hold them firmly in place. Just while there's a gap in the script, I just want to say if you're enjoying the video, why not drop a like and consider hitting that subscribe button. It really helps me out, helps the channel, helps motivate me to make more videos like this. Best thing of all, it's free. Won't cost you anything. Now that the hat's mostly finished, we can start working on the eyes. This is using a piece of a Nerf gun and 2 pieces from pens. I decided they were a little too long, so I thought I'd chop them down with the hobby saw. Now they're a more suitable length, now it's time to try and fit them in with the jaw. Luckily I just managed to get them squeezed in and fixed with a bit of super glue and magical baking powder. If you're new to the hobby, then baking powder helps solidify the super glue instantly upon contact. I decided to have a little look through my pen bits box and got a couple of end caps from the pens that I used for the eyes. Decided to use these as effectively eyelids to bring a bit more life into the build and make it look slightly more human. Okay, and back to the hat. Now we need to make a way for it to attach to the head. I took another piece from the Apollo 11 kit and super glued that to the inside of the hat. This new elevation of the hat allows us to see more of the face of the build and also provide us a good connection point to attach the hat to the top of the jaw. I used this piece of a knockoff transformer to make the front plate of the body, effectively the chest, but it wouldn't fit very well to this, I'm guessing, a plumbing piece, so I snipped the insides just to make it fit a little more snug, and used a bit of spot welding using my super glue and baking powder. Okay, so this is the main housing for a pen. I'm just gluing that inside just so that I can get a good attachment point for the base. Finally, with this bot having his hat on, I faced a new issue, figuring out how to make a neck. With more pen parts and some aggressive sawing, I eventually was able to create this connection point for a neck that would allow me to attach to the main body. As always, I glued this in place with some super glue and sprinkled on a little bit of the baking powder. I primed the bot in black and then also spray painted some brown just over the top to make some underlying rust. I chose to paint this bot in classic red as it's one of my favourite colours, and it's just what I had to hand. Using the worst brush I could possibly find, I started to stipple this in places around the bot. Since this guy's a wizard, I decided to use a bit of my own magic. With the power of editing, we now have a solid coat of red all around the bot. Then decided to do a little bit of dry brushing with that same red, just to pick up some of the raised areas. Now I'm just rehydrating the wet palette that is drier than Tutankhamun's mummy, just so that I can do a bit of a chipping effect with some silver. Now I hadn't got any of these fancy sponges, but I did have a little bit of spare packaging. I ripped it up a little bit and it actually did really good chipping effects. In hindsight, I probably went a bit overboard with some of these chipping effects, but it's too good not to do, let's be honest. With the bulk of the chipping done, I then moved on with a wash of Agrax Earthshade from Citadel. With a nice liberal coat of that, the build was finished. So now I guess we'll get on to the glamour shots.